Hello, 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 and welcome. So today we're going to be reviewing Find Your OFace. This is a very fun Shopify store that I discovered on Reddit. So just to give you a heads up on how we're going to be doing this, the first half, I'm just going to share my feedback as a visitor to your site or a potential customer. Clearly, this product is I'm not the potential customer for, but happy to share my feedback as someone who's visiting the site. And the second half, my colleague Anna Marie is going to share some specific design and UX feedback. So between those two things, hopefully you find something that's valuable and actionable that you can take away. So let's dive in. Gotta say, I love the name uh, and I love the aesthetic and the vibe of these sort of, these faces that are flashing. The background reminds me when I used to live in Asia of the old Chairman Mao posters. Um, but no, it's really well done and it's awesome. Um, I really like this logo in the top left corner as well. I think that's awesome. I will say the text that is scrolling on the bottom banner is a little bit hard to read, just because it overlaid against the sort of dull yellow. I had to strain my eyes a little bit. But anyways, I think one other piece, I mean, again, take this with a giant grain of salt. I'm clearly not your target market. But I think probably 90% of people landing on this will immediately understand what this product is all about. But I've never ceased to amaze, like, sometimes just how silly and like how dumb people are on the internet. And you want to make things super, super, super simple for them. And this landing is just making me think a little bit about, what it is that you're actually offering. Um, you know, partner is optional, pleasure is not. Like, I get it, but there's like a small like little bit of computation that I have to do in order to understand. Like I suspect what the site is about, but making life easier for potential customers by just like straight up telling them what you sell and what your site offers on the landing page itself was going to increase your conversions and reduce your bounce rates. So with that said, let's go down a little bit. I see you have collections, which is great. So it's five very clear categories with nice images that sort of blend into the overall aesthetic. So that's great. Um, and then I love that you started with your stories. And this is something that I see a lot of stores, you hit the site and then bam, they're trying to sell you something, but you've taken an approach of like actually sharing your story, which is awesome. Because now you're giving potential people like, something to latch on to sort of see a little bit of themselves in you, hear a bit more about who they're buying from, which is amazing. One thing I will say, I was actually very surprised with the statistic that up to 15% of women miss out on an orgasm. Um, that actually surprised me for two reasons. One, that statistic, I just went to Google to double check it, and it actually turns out it's a lot more than 15%. It's 46%. So the second thing is that, by calling out immediately that 50, only that 15% of women are missing out on this thing, you're immediately alienating 6 out of 7 women who are reading that. So I think either my recommendation would be to lead with something else entirely different or update this to the new number, which is 46%, or I'm sure there's other studies you could find with even higher percentages, so that you're appealing to a broader set of broader market. And I get it, half the world is female and 15% of 3.5 billion is still a very large number, but why would you try and turn off someone, haha, pun, turn away someone uh, on the get-go by just saying 15%? Try and make this problem even more relatable. Um, so anyways, to that, just a small nitpick, you know, I thought this was quite funny. Um, I think the visuals are great, like clearly, the sassy swag, and you have an image of something that's quite sassy, and it all fits in really well. I will say not seeing the prices, so you're kind of adding an extra click for me. So I don't know if that's by design, but personally, whenever I'm shopping, I like to see the price of something that's, on the image itself or very clearly accessible. That I would maybe guys should do some A/B testing to find out what's resonating with your customers on that and what the checkout rates are. Um, I feel like this is like a pretty good value prop for a lot of women. So you might want to highlight this earlier up on your page as well, and like make this one of the uh, highlights of like, why should I buy something from you? It's just like, I feel like this might be an objection that a lot of people might have, and if you just address that up front, that's great. Your blog posts, which was just great. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this image. It's getting cut off for me, and I guess it links to Instagram, huh? Okay, so this is unexpected. So I did not know that this, let's click and let's see where it takes me. Yes, it just took me to an E. Not sure what to do with this or how it's relevant to me. So this might be something to look into and fix. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know what, like, yeah, this whole section, like, I think what you're trying to do is just have your Instagram feed show up on your website, but having this um, angry man stare at me as a woman who's searching, potentially shopping for a sex toy, not sure that's working for me. Um, love that your social media, etc., is linked down below. And yeah, no, I think overall it's a fantastic site. Really love the branding. It's well organized, and I'm not going to hand it off to my colleague Anna Marie, who can share some design and user experience feedback with you. Hope this is helpful.
Hi there, I'm Anna Marie. So let's take a look at OFace from a little bit of a design perspective. So as Arush mentioned right off the bat, I love your branding, I love your design, right, the fun fonts, your logo. There's a lot of really good stuff going on here that makes me want to look further. I also really love that there's a call to action right here, kind of above the fold. So as soon as I land there, there's something clear that you're asking me to do. And going down the page, I really like that you have these kind of clear blocks. So right? I see the different collections that you have. I see kind of a mission statement. I see some specific products featured. So it's really easy to go through and kind of get a gist of what this page is about and what I can expect. So that's all great. The couple things, right, in terms of potential improvements. I think the first thing I want to talk about is color. So I love that you have clear brand colors, right? You're clearly using this red, blue, and yellow, which is awesome. And I think the way, as I mentioned, you use it kind of in these blocks is great. The one thing I would think about is maybe the placement and the way you use it. So Rush mentioned, right, that there's some legibility issues. So for example, this blue text on this yellow is really hard to read. So that's one thing to think about. And then also, right, just consistency wise, it's a lot of colors scrolling down. So I kind of like now that there's this like white section that I can kind of pause on. And so maybe thinking about, right, Do you use yellow here? Again, white on yellow is also hard to read. Maybe this section could also be white. And so just thinking about those types of things, especially from a legibility perspective. So is the text that you're using, the way that you're using your brand colors, legible? And also, right, is there a way that you could use it that increases trust on the site? So making things feel a little cleaner and professional, just as far as, right, there's a lot of colors going on. So how do you use it in a very tasteful way? So that's one big thing. And just final kind of thought there. So, right, you have a mix between, right, white text. So this here actually probably is good that it's white. If this text was black, it would be really hard to read. But then right here, you have some blue text on white, then you have black text on white. If we go through these pages too, I think some of these, right, your main text is blue versus on the block it's black. So just thinking about that, I would almost recommend just sticking with black as the main text color. If you want to use a different color kind of on headers, that's fine. But again, yellow on white is pretty hard to read. So maybe use the blue on white for headers, but then main text, let's stick to black just for consistency's sake. So again, just ideas, but kind of, yeah, really thinking of how you can be intentional with the awesome colors that you do have for your brand. And then another quick thing to note is just responsiveness here at the top. So it looks like there's less padding on this side when I'm on full screen, but then when I start making it smaller, suddenly, right, it kind of jumps around and there's more padding, and then there's some moments where it's a little weird. So just going through and making sure that it's responsive on all screen sizes, I think would be one thing to check with the top nav. And then the final couple things on the homepage. So as Rush mentioned, I love that you have this info about your mission. And then right below over here, you have kind of a about section that then takes you to the about page. So I would just add here a page that takes you right to your mission page. And then maybe think of, right, at first when I was scrolling through this, I thought, oh, are there two about sections? Because there's a photo of you both here and a photo of you here. So maybe just thinking of, right, is there a better photo for the mission statement? Just so it's clear that kind of this is the mission statement and this is the about us section. So just think about those things too. And then final thing, Rush mentioned here, the social section. I think it could be as simple as adding some padding between each of the posts. So it's just clear to see, right, that these are each individual Instagram posts or individual TikTok posts that I can click, because otherwise it does all mesh together a little bit. And then the footer, again, this is responsive, which is awesome. So it stacks differently. The only minor comment here is that I would maybe move this to float kind of further at the bottom and in the middle, because right now it's kind of awkwardly not quite aligned with anything, and it feels like it's kind of just floating in space. So maybe float it over here or even left aligned below the menu. So yeah, those are just some quick comments. If we go into an actual product, right, I love that you have different photos of the product and that I can see, right, different colors of it. So that's all awesome. And I know on a lot of these you have descriptions, so that's great. Again, maybe changing this text to be black just for consistency. And then also this button color looks like there's something weird going on, so just fixing that. But otherwise, the product pages look awesome. So yeah, to summarize, I feel like you guys have an awesome brand, awesome products, just figuring out how to really utilize the cool brand and the colors that you have in the most significant and impactful way. So hope that helps.